Hey, welcome to another episode of Your Faith and Health Community. I'm your host, Pastor Jackie Jackson. And as always, on behalf of myself, as well as our producer, Anita Alexander, we want to thank you for taking time out of your busy day to spend with us. And hopefully, prayerfully, we'll share some information with you that will improve your quality of life. Now, I'm not going to talk about you getting health care insurance again. I'm not going to do that again right now. We've been talking about it for going on 6 years. You should know each year that you need to have health care insurance. I do want to talk about this other health epidemic that we're having, and that's gun violence. There is so much gun violence. I said it the show before, I'm saying it now, and I'm going to say it the next show. If you see something going on, if you see someone shot, someone murdered, you need to say something. This ghetto code thing, I guess that's what I'm going to call it, because that's about the only thing I can come up with, where you don't want to tell on somebody, and usually because it's a black or brown person, I don't want to see another black man in jail. Listen, if the black man is a shooter or killer, I want to see him in jail. I want to see him locked up because I want to be safe. I want my children to be safe. I want my grandchildren to be safe. I want your children and your grandchildren, your husband, your wife to be safe. And the only way we can do that is by stop allowing black and brown people and black and brown communities to hold the community hostage. By doing this, I'm not going to tell. I'm not telling. You'll tell if it's your family member, and you'll want other people to tell. So let's put the shooters and the murderers and the drug dealers and the robbery boys, let's put them all on notice that you no longer have safe harbor in our communities. And I guarantee you, if we do that, we're going to see a decline. Is it scary? Yes. Could it be dangerous? Yes. But you got murderers and shooters walking around your community, so you're already in danger. At least this is something that you could do something to reduce the danger in the community. So if you see something, say something. If you hear something, say something. If you know something, say something. I guess the point I'm trying to make is say something. Because when you're sitting back and you're doing nothing, you are a part of the problem. Your silence is a part of the problem. So just do something, because the shootings aren't going to stop just because you're wishing upon a star. And even if you're going, well, I'm praying, the Bible said faith without works is dead. I think you get my point. I know somebody's going, I wish he'd stop. You know what? I wish people stop shooting. But just like the last time, I'm just going to bring it down. We'll bring it down a little bit because we have a special guest that I'm very excited to have on the show. Her name is Diana Garlington, and she's from Providence, Rhode Island. And she is also an author. She wrote a book entitled She Wasn't the One. And this is in reference to her daughter, Essence, who was murdered. An unsolved murder, because people don't want to tell what happened. But I said I wasn't going to go there. We're going to bring Diana on. Before I bring her on, I just want to read a little bit of her bio to you, give you a little bit of information about her. She is a community activist. She is a speaker. She's a certified life coach. She was named the 2019 Survivor Fellow for Moms Demand Action, now serving as the Rhode Island Survivor Membership Lead, as well as honored as the 2016 hometown hero there in Providence, Rhode Island. She was awarded the 2018 Nonviolence Institute Community Impact Award and is the founder of the Essence T. Crystal Female Youth Empowerment Program. She's also the founder for Safer Communities for Justice and Lock Arms for Community. Diana currently serves on the Juvenile Hearing Board, as well as One Gun Gone, and the Coalition for Gun Violence, and a graduate of the Parent Leader Training Institute. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to Diana Garlington. Thank you, Diana, for being on the show.
Thank you, Pastor Jackie. How are you today?
Hey, I woke up, so it's a good day.
Absolutely.
Can't beat that. I want to talk about, I just want to jump into the book right off. I know I should probably build up. Well, let's talk about your story and what led up to you writing She Wasn't the One.
So, unfortunately, as you spoke of earlier, I came out with She Wasn't the One because I lost my 21-year-old daughter, Essence Crystal, in a drive-by shooting in 2011.
Take your time.
So, after going through that situation, I decided that my community and people around the world needed to understand the pain and trauma that I had to go through in losing my child, Essence. Just hearing some of the things that you were saying earlier it's really got me a little emotional right now because I'm actually going through that situation where individuals are feeling like these murderers should be big upped. They should be given a high five. Like, I'm confused and I'm really hurt on where this is coming from and what would make someone think that it's okay for someone to take someone's child and still be able to walk the streets. Like, I'm just so, like I said, I'm just so in awe at the amount of individuals who are supporting the actions of someone being able to take a gun and murder your child. And they reflect back to, the demises that we're having in our communities. Yes, I understand we're going through a lot of inequities. We're going through housing problems. We're going through poverty. We're going through racism. But does that give someone the right to still murder someone and still walk the streets? No, it does not.
You're right. And the thing is that I think that really gets to me and angers me is we will march on City Hall if a white officer kills a black man, a woman, or child. We will march on City Hall. We will tear up some stuff. We will scream and shout into the night. But when a black person kills another black person in the community, we get quiet. There should be marches and demonstrations every day in the black and brown community, because every day in the black and brown community, someone is getting shot and killed. And yes, don't get me wrong. When you got a bad police officer and they're killing black folks, if they're killing white folks, that's an issue. But we have an issue in the community that black folks are killing black folks and we are not getting up in arms. We're not getting out there and screaming that we need to see the information. We need to know who it is. They need to be brought to justice. The families are, but the community has a tendency to get quiet. Listen, I can't snitch on you if you're a murderer or a shooter. We're not partners. I'm not a part of your caper. I'm not out there with you as a shooter. So I can't snitch on you, but I can sure tell. Listen, you don't want me riding in the car with you if you got drugs in the car, because we get pulled over. I'm not getting ready to go down for you. You can say he ain't a stand-up guy. I won't be a stand-up guy.
Right.
I'll be sitting down in my living room. So I'm sorry, Diana. I've been a little riled up today because it's just getting ridiculous with all the children being shot and families having loved ones murdered, such as yourself, and nobody's coming forward with the information. But let me ask you, so you wrote She Wasn't the One, and this is basically about your daughter's murder, correct?
That is correct. That is correct. And as I said earlier, I was getting nowhere. I was reaching out into my community. I felt like our police, our authorities, no one was doing anything. So my way of getting my voice heard and getting, the information out about Essence was to write this book. I began by just writing poetry, and I felt like the poetry wasn't enough. I felt like my community needed to see this in black and white, because sometimes we can go out, holler, yell, scream, do whatever, but sometimes absorbing it and seeing it sometimes gives you a different effect. So that's why I chose to put her story in this book called She Wasn't the One.
And after writing it, publishing it, and getting it out there, would you say that is having an effect on the community? I mean, I had the pleasure of being in Providence a couple of weeks ago. I think it's going on almost 3 weeks now, and opportunity to see the work that you're doing. Do you think that your book is helping to bring people more to awareness? Do you think that your book is helping people maybe to get more courage to stand up and speak? Because I've read your book. I bought your book for someone else. I know that in your book, you're giving some information. You're putting it out on Front Street, like this is the situation right here. Are you seeing that be effective? And if you would just kind of share what you feel comfortable sharing about what's in that book.
Okay, so as we speak about a lot, I had to really come to the conclusion that this book needed to be raw. It needed to be in a space where there was no sugarcoating, because unfortunately, as we can see in our communities, not speaking up and not voicing your opinion has gotten us to where we are right now, fighting for laws for gun violence, having community members who are sitting back and watching me on TV instead of getting out there and fighting with me for these families. So yeah, I did have to get really raw in this book. I got as raw as far as to name the individuals who did take the choice to take my daughter's life. When you ask if there are any effects to it, I have effects on both sides of it. I have individuals who understand and who know the reasoning why I went as far as to do what I did. And then you have the individuals who are part of the problem that will come at you sideways and say that, as you said earlier, I'm a snitch. And as we know, obviously, I can't be a snitch. I'm not in the game. I'm Essence's mother. So you can't label me as a snitch. I'm the mother who is going to fight for justice until I do actually get justice for my daughter. So yeah, I've seen both sides of the effects of releasing my book.
Okay. And that part is good, because people need to see someone, need to be able to actually see someone who's saying, I'm going to have the courage. I'm going to get out here. I'm going to push. I'm going to fight. I'm going to push the police to do their job. I'm going to push the community to do their job. And one of the beautiful things I think about what you're doing is you're not just fighting for justice for Essence. You have an organization, Safer Communities for Justice. Can we talk? Can you share with everybody what that organization is about? Because, like I said, you're not just fighting for justice for Essence. You're fighting for communities.
Sure, and I would like to thank you for saying that, because as I've always echoed to my community, even though these children who are being shot and killed and slaughtered in our streets are not my child by blood, they're still our children, because this is our community. So as a mother, I have to stand up and use my voice just as much as I would for my own child. Half of these children that are on this unsolved murder list, I've either had contact with, or I've had contact with someone in their family. That's unacceptable. It's totally unacceptable to have to sit and see that these children that were raised with my children are also dead. So yeah, absolutely, I do fight for my entire community. Safer Communities for Justice came in as an initiative due to the fact that just in Providence alone, which is a very small city in Rhode Island, we have over 145 unsolved murders. That is just unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And not only are they unsolved, I felt like they were not getting any sort of attention because of us being in the Black and Brown communities. I felt like we were being pushed aside and labeled as numbers. And one of my biggest echoes are I refuse to have my daughter sit in a file cabinet and labeled as a number. I did not give birth to her and label her as a number. I gave her a name, and her name is Essence. And she will be remembered as my child and as Essence. And that's why I continued with Safer Communities for Justice. This initiative was also launched with a new website where we have compiled information as far as each individual who was labeled as an unsolved murder. And for the families who have allowed us to put their family members on this website, we also will give them a dedication. There's a tip line. This tip line will lead to our local police station, and it's anonymous. So we know that a lot of individuals do not like speaking with the police. They have, issues, and by all means, I totally understand that. So we've developed a tip line where they can leave this information, and it will never come back to you unless it's to the point where you want to go to court and testify in regards to some information that you have given. The system also is community-based, where, like I said, we're bringing families together where they can memorialize their loved ones. They can share information. They can, do dedications to them on their birthday. So that way they're remembered. So it's almost like a two lens website. One where we will receive justice and solace for our families, and the other, we will keep their memory and their legacy alive.
All right, and so thank you for sharing that information, because I think it's really important for people to understand that there are tools, opportunity to get out, opportunity to share the information, and especially when you can do it and be totally anonymous. That I think that's going to help people, hopefully, prayerfully, get more information out so that we can catch these folks and give them their new home in prison where they belong. Right. I want to ask this next question, which kind of goes along, which I think kind of leads that what we just talked about, the website kind of leads into it, because people are concerned that they could run into some kind of issues. And with yourself being out on the front street out there as an activist, you're out there as a surviving mom of a daughter who was murdered. You're trying to help other people who have had family members murdered or shot get justice. I'm curious, what types of issues or problems do you have to deal with occasionally from some people in the community who may not be happy with the work that you're doing?
So my biggest issues that I'm really dealing with as we speak is people who feel like the murderer who is out here shooting and killing individuals and walking the streets should have some sympathy. They feel like they should have sympathy because of, quite naturally, we know our Black and Brown people are struggling from poverty. They're struggling from inequities that are people who are not of color don't have to deal with. Our schools are shitholes. Our people don't have the same capacity to go out and get jobs. The education sucks. So it's like, I totally get that. I understand that. But on the other hand, we do have to understand there are individuals out here who are committing murders just because they want to. they're committing murders because they do not want to go out and put themselves in a position to get a job or better themselves as a community person. So, yeah, I totally get everything that we're going through. I get through, like I said, once again, we have police brutalities that we've suffered for umpteen years now, and there has been, no justice for that. But as I said, we have to look at this both ways. These people have murdered our loved ones in our walk in the streets. So how much pity could we give someone who is willing to pick up a gun and take someone's life? I mean, I've had struggles in my life. I'm not out here shooting someone because of it. I have a son who is 35 years old. He's had struggles in his life. He hasn't picked up a gun and shot and killed anyone's family member. So, I mean, it's okay to want to have anger and pain in regards to the systematic issues that we've dealt with for all these years. But I refuse to sit back and sugarcoat that someone should have a pity party because they felt like they want to pick up a gun and kill my child. It's absolutely unnecessary and is something that I will never have pity for.
Right. You were bold when you pulled the trigger. Be bold when you're standing in front of the judge, and be bold when you get sentenced. And, what you running for? You're bad. You were bad when you had the weapon. So I definitely understand what you're saying. But I also want to ask, just kind of to define that question a little bit more. What type of issues are you getting from individuals, right? And I'm not even talking about shooters, because we know there's always going to be someone who's not necessarily happy with the path that we take in terms of the work that we do. So are you having any issues and this is really to help people who are looking to get into activism, because you would think around something like gun violence and trying to be sure that families are safe, that children can play out in the community, that everyone would jump on the bandwagon and say, yeah, definitely, let's work together. But I know that every now and then you run into someone who wants to cause you more issues in the work that you're doing to make the community safer. And not necessarily because they're out there as perpetrators, but for some reason, they see you doing the work, and there's always somebody who's got something to say because they don't like what you're doing or how you're doing. And so is that something you ever have to deal with?
Oh, so to be honest with you, I would really like to say if you had a whole nother show, I could go on and on and on in regards to that sort of issue. There's a lot of envy. There's a lot of backstabbing. People who are not unified when it comes to this situation. They feel as though if you make one more step than what they have made or progress that they have tried to make in the past and have been unable to make that progress. Oh yeah, there's a lot of backlash with that. I actually was going through some sort of incident similar to the situation that I'm speaking of just yesterday. So yeah, I do have a lot of issues with just everyday individuals in the community who feel like they want to sit at home and twiddle their thumbs and kick their feet up and watch me do the work, but are not willing to come out and put their feet on the ground with me.
What they call them armchair quarterbacks. They know they can tell you everything the quarterback should do while they're leaning back in their recliner. But there's a thing that I use sometimes. I use in a message where I say that in football, if people watch football, the defense goes after the person with the ball. When the ball is hiked to the quarterback, the defense is going after the quarterback. If he passes it off to a running back or throws it to a receiver or a tight end, their attention shifts from the quarterback to whoever has the ball. And so the enemy is the same way. The enemy is going to attack who has the ball. So I like to look at it this way. If people are coming at you about the work that you're doing, and the thing is, your work is in public. I know you're on the news. I know that you are speaking continually with the Attorney General there. You're speaking with Senate. They're having you on press conferences standing side by side. The mayor, you've got the police chief, you've got the majors. So you're out there, and what you're doing is visible. And so the enemy doesn't like what you're doing, because for all the work you do, you are getting in the way of people that the enemy, I'm talking about Satan, the devil, Beelzebub, old split toe, or whatever you call him, realizes that you are affecting the people that he wants to get. So I just want to encourage you to stay strong. There are going to be people who are going to come at you. You can't avoid that. When you're out in the public, when you're in the public eye, there are people who should be saying, how can I help you? Who will spend their time trying to figure out how to hurt you. And you have to deal with them. And it's almost like you brush them off your shoulder. You just got to brush them off and keep going, because you have a mission that God has anointed you to do. He's put you in this position. He's opening up doors and doors and doors for you to do the work that you're doing. So I would say you definitely want to stay faithful. I think we do need to get you back and talk about that question. Like you said, there's so much you could say about it, and I think it would be really good, especially for people who want to get into activism, who want to get out there and put yourself on Front Street. So, Diana, thank you again for being on the show. It's an honor and a privilege to have you here. Thank you for the work that you're doing in Providence, Rhode Island, and thank you for the work that you're doing, because we didn't mention, you are also a part of Everytown for gun safety, and you're a part of Moms Demand Action as well. So thank you for that work. And until the next time we meet, stay faithful, stay healthy.